Welcome to the Bushwick Bears Petty Crime Review.
That's right. This week we're talking jaywalking, baby.
Not gay walking, but no, that was not good. Sorry.
So we're talking about jaywalking, which is probably one of the pettiest of crimes you
Kind
can
of
get.
the pettiest of crimes.
But, I really was thinking about this. Like, we can't have people walking all over the roads either, right?
I thought about it because we'll get into the reasons why I'm so anti-jaywalking being a crime. But my roommate, I was telling him that we were going to do this, and we were talking for a second. He told me a funny story that was kind of interesting. He was in Germany, right?
And they follow all the rules.
Yeah, he just ran across the street.
All the right ones.
And he just ran across the street, and this woman yelled at him.
Oh, they look at you like you're crazy. Same.
Yeah, yelled at him. She stopped, and she said, "I don't want you teaching my kids bad habits."
Yeah,
because she had her kids with her.
I mean, they're right, but also that when you blindly follow rules like that, you get problems as well. Germany.
There are problems.
Yeah. So okay.
We're going to have Nuremberg trials for jaywalking.
I
was just following the sign's orders.
Well, the thing is, we've all jaywalked. Everybody who's listening to this, everybody you know in life has like jaywalked to some infraction, what would be considered jaywalking.
Right.
And if you live in New York, there is no such thing as jaywalking because you just walk. And I mean, it's not a prosecutable crime.
It feels like...
I think there probably still is. I think the cops just don't care.
Well, okay, here's one thing. We actually, before we get into it too much, jaywalking, what do you think? What does jaywalking mean?
In my person, I haven't looked it up to be clear.
Right, so tell me, just off
by
the head,
by law, my guess would be that if a road has a barrier in the middle where cars cannot cross and a crosswalk, you're supposed to use that crosswalk. And if you don't use that crosswalk when it's your turn to walk, and you walk somewhere in the middle and cross the street, my guess is that's jaywalking.
That's partially it. Jaywalking is actually like a huge encompassing term about like it's also definable by state. It is a state to county to city law as to whether or not they want to enforce it, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a federal thing.
However, it can be that, but mainly jaywalking specifically has the term because those two lines that are
right when the cars
creating the zone, creating the cross zone or whatever. Everybody starts to do that thing when you got to go left or right, where you start to turn left before you actually get to the curb.
And if you cross that in a car, you're committing a violation.
So, no, here's the thing. So you have the two lines on the street, and then somebody starts making an actual J. Outside of the two lines to walk over. So I'm crossing the street. There's the edge of the street. I start turning left before I get to the curb. That's
okay.
The two lines,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. I'm making a J. Now my back is to the oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
And they are taking close turns. And so actually, statistically, if you stay within those two lines, you have less of a chance of being hit by
right.
an
So the term
car.
Jaywalking, I never knew this. I thought it was maybe like there was a guy named Jay who would walk incorrectly, but it's making the shape like a K turn. It's a jaywalk.
Right. Exactly.
So
I just figured it was a fake term that cops could use to just fuck with people.
Well, so that's the biggest. That's the biggest problem, right? Is like one part of me is like we can't just make this legal because I've seen people even while it's illegal walk across the street like fucking staring at cars like, what are you gonna do? I will sue you, and it's worth it for me to break my leg right now because I have nothing else in my life, and just stare at you and walk through like thick traffic, you know what I mean? Like, we can't have everybody doing that either. So the problem is it becomes this law where like, well, if there's no cars, I'm not doing anything. Can we not be pricks about it? But now you're leaving it to a cop's decision, and we all know cops, we don't want to leave much to their decision.
As a person who is pro, I don't want any laws. Basically, I'm anti-law in general. I think that any excuse that a cop has to stop you and talk to you
is a chance for it to escalate. And I just saw a video, actually. Sorry to interrupt you, but I did just see a video of like a guy that's clearly mentally ill, and the cop cam like get him for jaywalking, and then they start talking to him, and then he's immediately aggressive, but also he's clearly mentally ill, and the guy ends up getting killed from jaywalking. just because it escalates and the cops don't de-escalate it and he doesn't de-escalate and
They should have called in a social worker.
Well, theoretically, I mean, in this case,
They should have for real.
They should have just let the guy go.
Sorry, I'm just making that
I know
joke
you mean
because-
that cynically, and I'd usually agree with you cynically, but in
No,
this case,
I'm kidding about it. Well, okay, so here's the opposite of it though, because I was thinking about this today. And we could talk about this in a second here about the grander philosophy of how we approach like the nature of petty crimes. Because if you listen back to this, we have a specific bent on all of this, and it's varying shades of anarchy and libertarianism.
Yeah.
Right. So the opposite of it is in China, right? If you get into an accident and you like maim somebody, you're responsible for their bills for the rest of their life, right? So if you handicap a person, you injure them so badly that they're in a wheelchair,
right?
You got to pay for that person's like wheelchair for life.
You're basically their
in
slave.
So in China,
You're their slave.
What they started doing, the citizens, they started running people over and killing them to make sure, because the cost of just of killing them is so much cheaper than the cost of having to take care of them.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. It is hilarious.
That's single payer healthcare.
but it is. It's.
I'm kidding. I have no idea how that works. I was reading that story.
It's hilarious, but it also is a logical, foreseeable consequence of a system that doesn't incentivize the right kind of behavior. And what I could see them doing is maybe everybody has a type of insurance for that sort of deal, which is if you're in a car, theoretically, you do have insurance for it. But then again, you have pedestrians taking advantage of that who are literally walking around because they have nothing to lose and would prefer a car hit them so that they could collect insurance from them, or you're just fucking nuts. And while I'm on the side where I don't want jaywalking mostly to be anything that gets escalated, what do you do even if you send social workers to a guy that's crazy? What are you going to do? How do you enforce jaywalking at all if someone still has the ability to be like, fuck you, I'm crazy? Why do those both look so...
because just because we're not talking.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've just been yapping. I'm like, why does that look so... Oh, it's because I talk too much.
Because
voice,
Boris is on a fucking rant.
You're more fired up about jaywalking than I am.
Because I'm conflicted. It's a legit...
Of course. Well, let me tell you my story and see how you feel about what happened to me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm working.
You deserved it. Sorry, go on.
Motherfucker. So I was working. I had a shitty day at work. I get off work. I'm still in my work clothes. I'm walking home. I have my headphones in, whatever. I go to cross the street, same street I cross every fucking day, and a car. And yes, I didn't have the light, but I was running.
Pedestrians still have right away.
A car comes. I have to jump out of the way of it, and it pulls down. And so I just slap the trunk, and I'm like, "Fuck you," and I just keep walking. I don't think about it. And then I'm walking. It's the light right before an underpass, and then I'm walking down the underpass, and I'm walking. I don't hear shit. I hear someone yelling, but I don't. I have my headphones in. I don't think about it. I hear someone yelling. It's getting louder. Then all of a sudden, someone grabs me.
It was
and
a cop.
flips me around, and it's a cop.
And it was a plainclosed cop in the car?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I take off my headphones.
This isn't the right topic, but I've rear-ended 2 cops that way. Go on.
How many people have you rear-ended that they were both you hit 2
Just go on. We'll get to that in another episode.
God.
A little teaser.
I had a cop almost run me over in an intersection the other day.
Yeah.
And then flipped on their lights as they were doing it to be like, I'm going through.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, so he pulls me around. I take my headphones, and as a dude walking in like an underground tunnel, basically.
Right.
And someone grabbed my shoulder. I turn around. I'm like ready to fight. And he's like, he started screaming at me. I take off my headphones, like, the fuck is wrong with you? Hit my fuck. And I'm like, fuck you. You almost ran me over. He's like, well, it turns out I'm a fucking cop. And I'm like,
does that nullify everything else?
And he goes, give me your license and your ID. And I said, let me see your ID. So I made him show me his badge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he was a cop. And I give him.
That'd be funny if you like called it in to like 911, be like, I need to run a badge number here.
So I was like, here's my ID, right? And he's like, what were you running? You jumped in front of my car. I was like, no, I didn't. I saw you coming and you were speeding up, blah blah. And so we started talking. me a jaywalking ticket, right?
I do love just the image of you fucking Donkey Konging his car. Or like not even, what was that Street Fighter extra where you're just fucking destroying
I
the
mean,
shit?
yeah, that's
yeah.
what I mean, I just like, that's one of my moves. I mean, I've done it to civilians plenty of times that like run the light or get too close. I'll slap their car. I don't
Yeah,
give a shit.
I've done that one too.
I did it to a woman. I was in DC. You know, DC has all the big roundabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she hit me, and I slapped her mirror, and it went in. And she stopped and got out, and I was like, "Get back in your fucking car!" And she drove off.
I mean, I'm glad you saw who it was and not somebody a foot bigger than you.
So
They don't really make them a foot bigger than me. That's like 1% of the human population is a foot bigger than me.
So here's the thing: is like this. Also, the consequence of what happens to you varies state by state. For example,
mine was pretty rough. I'll tell you. Keep going.
yeah.
I just
Okay,
want to say it's really unfair that 1% of the population has 99% of the height in this country. It's not right. And, while I have 99% of the population that's a foot bigger than me.
If you're like in Michigan, for example, and you like you're kind of like on your own, right? If you actually walk across the street and there's like oncoming traffic, you don't pay attention to it, and you get hit, it's your fault. It's not the driver's fault at all because the traffic laws were in place there to protect you. You elected to do it. Nobody's going to ticket you for it.
Right.
However, you are responsible for the consequence, which
Could be your death.
right. Yeah. That's.
But it sounds,
that's on you.
if you know, it sounds somewhat just.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, yeah.
It's tragic if you made a mistake or if you're drunk, but that's the thing. That's why
Well,
they
that's
have.
also on you too if you're drunk or whatever. Like,
Right.
That's also your fault.
So in Arizona, it starts as a $65 fine, right? So, but what I did, he gave me the ticket, and I was like, fine, okay. I was like, am I free to go? He's like, yeah, you're free to go. So I just, in front of him, crumpled up the ticket and threw it in the trash can. And so walked away. I was like, oh, I'm so tough. So then I get a notification that I owe the money. I don't pay it. I don't fight it. I don't do nothing. Then they're like, oh, if you don't pay it, your license gets suspended. And I was like, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, right.
I always thought about that. If you don't pay it, like, what do they take away your feet? Like, what if you didn't? What if you don't have?
Yeah, the only infraction the only thing you do is like, go after your license.
So
but what if you never had a license to begin with? Then what?
Then you're fine.
Then you're fine. Well, no, I think you'll have a bench warrant out, and we all have some experience with bench warrant, or at least Jericho and I do, and that'll catch up with you eventually. Like if you have to go in to do any level of like government thing, they'll pull that up.
I had that with Rutgers University Police, where I had a ton of tickets after I'd graduated, and their only thing they can do is withhold your
grades.
With your certificate or whatever. So I just
have
a bunch of tickets.
Trident Community College still has my because I refused to pay for something.
Well, they eventually did suspend my license, and I got pulled over. And the guy was like, yo, you got a suspended license. And it was like for nothing. And I was right in front of my house. So the cop was like, dude, you got to go take care of that. Another cop will just take you to jail.
Yeah, no, yep. That's what happened to me for sure. And sorry, go on.
No, but I finally was like, fuck it. I'll go take care of it. And I went to the city court office or whatever. And I went to go call my name and number. And she was like, all right. Okay, it looks like you owe $3,575.
No way.
And I was like, what the fuck? And she goes, yeah, you have like $3,000 in unpaid parking tickets. And I was like, oh shit. And I thought, this is the time I'm gonna have to pay all those tickets that I never paid. And then it's like one of those times where I got hooked up by a service person that made me so happy. She goes, well, sweetie, to get your license back, you only have to pay this jaywalking ticket, which is now $325
with like penalty or
penalties.
Whatever.
And she's like, I was like, what about that? What about the parking tickets? She's like, well, if you ever get a state tax return, they won't give it to you. Or if you ever win state lottery, they'll take it from that. Other than that, there's nothing they're going to do.
You mean if I ever win the lottery, they'll remove this fraction of the lottery winnings?
She was like, they might boot your car. And so then I just started parking in the back. Instead of the front of the house, I started parking in the back of the house. And then I sold that van. So.
But to me, there's also the fact, and I agree with it being statewide, because the local culture seems to be a big part of it. Like in Germany, where everyone religiously follows these walk, don't walk signs.
Yeah.
If you're not following it, you're either a tourist or you're a criminal. You're probably somebody who breaks other laws in Germany. And so if the cops see you doing it, they're like, yeah, we're going to go harass this guy because either like we need to make sure he doesn't do this again, or this is a guy we're going to catch for a bunch of other shit because this is probably just some sociopath because everyone else in Germany who's, normally adjusted follows the walk, don't walk sign.
I think they teach that in police academy. That it just like that's why I don't agree with most laws is that like they just use it as an excuse to get in.
Right.
But
the thing is, there is that, like, I know broken windows theory is, like, not the right thing, but whatever the studies are, it's pretty fucking common sense. If I show up to a town and half the windows are broken and it's covered in graffiti and everybody's walking all over the place, I'm probably going to hesitate less before I piss on the side of a building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I show up to a town that looks like a nice, cute downtown and everybody's, like, keeps their shit clean and everybody's following the law, I'm probably not going to piss on the side of a building. I'm probably going to hold it in and wait till I go find a bathroom.
But would you jaywalk?
Well, that's what I'm just using pissing because it's funnier. But
that's also part of that's also the broken windows policy thing is also to a certain extent kind of classist because all the money during Giuliani's reign from the taxes and everything like that, no matter where it came from, the majority of it went to tourist areas and things like that to make those sort of areas look nice, and they had they incentivized it to be able for some of these businesses to put up these nice shiny places and whatnot. Versus like a poor area which is able to do it. I agree with you inherently. However, like I don't trust that there is equity in how the taxes are being distributed or how they incentivize people and work within that framework in order to make sure it's a just law for everybody.
I definitely agree that it's not going to be just because, again, anything you leave to the discretion of the cops, which is ultimately where jaywalking falls, is going to be towards their own, that guy looks like he's in a suit and he's heading to work. I'm not going to bother him. He's probably going to hire a lawyer and fight this and whatever.
Yeah, he's just going to commit white-collar crimes instead of ones out of need.
And we'll get him on those. But
we won't. And then when we do, he gets to go play tennis in a nice facility somewhere.
And then gets to write a book about it and then have a podcast about it.
Yeah, and then Martin Scorsese does a movie about your life, even though you ruined hundreds of thousands of people's worlds. You're a fucking prick.
But everybody gets their piece in that system.
Though.
The lawyers get a piece of it.
Yeah, but that
the state gets a piece of it. I'm not saying it's just.
Right.
I'm just saying even if you go to like a neighborhood that's like very poor and dilapidated, a lot of their fundraising, the cops are making money off ticketing for bullshit like that. And it's a terrible system because people get stuck with like a jaywalking ticket that they can't pay. And then it's like a fucking spiral where you end up in jail for a jaywalking ticket a couple years later because it just escalated where you can't afford it.
Fucking bullshit.
But the other side of me is like, some of these towns, literally that's how they raise money is by ticketing. Like they just wouldn't have money for people to do their, like public works to do their job at all. But the other thing is, how do you prevent a system where you just have everybody fucking jaywalking all they want?
Well, here's the thing.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah.
So you drive. You think it would be fine and safe, and less people wouldn't be getting hurt, or more people wouldn't be getting hurt if you had people know that they can walk across the street and not fucking look at all, and it doesn't fucking matter for them legally.
I think it's fine. I think that's like it's one of the earliest lessons anybody's taught. Like as a little kid, your mom goes, "Look both ways before you cross the street."
It's true, but then what happens if a car hits them? Does that car's insurance need to pay?
I mean, that's why you have insurance,
No, that's
right?
why it's up to the person who jaywalked. It's responsible on them.
In that state you were talking about.
Yeah. But this is also, this is so funny because, like, you can't apply a universal law to this sort of thing to a certain extent because, like, you could be like, oh, in America, we were taught to look both ways and take accountability for
America's
yourself.
huge.
Let me finish my point. To take
no,
I mean,
sorry,
like, every time
go
I
on.
make a point, you're like, I got something to say.
It's true.
Like,
go on.
I know,
Fight.
No,
fight.
I'm just like trying to like get across. It's like
it's a cultural Judaism thing.
Goddamn wife. Like,
I love you.
I always know so much better than the person who's fucking talking. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that we're taught in America you have to have self-reliance and all that sort of stuff. Whereas in like a different country like Germany, for example, they might be like, well, the considerate thing to do is consider society as a whole. They have a term in Germany called Weltanschauung, and it means worldview. It's all this like all-encompassing sort of like way to live. And it's also, I mean, depending on what prism you want to look at it
Yeah,
through,
says the blonde,
an
blue-eyed guy.
indigenous people's movement, perhaps. But but like they have like a certain worldview that where they view society differently in America. In America, I feel like we always look at what can we extract from this system that we have, how can we make it work for us, sort of thing. Whereas in Germany, their economy is more socialized and they're taught things differently. So it's not necessarily like a right or wrong thing. It's almost like a preference aspect.
I agree with that. It's
Yeah.
very cultural. And also to address what you said, I do also agree. I think the insurance should still pay for it because it's asymmetric. You know, the amount of harm a car can do to you is obviously not close to what you can do to the car, of course. And so whether you're right or wrong, we do say that the pedestrian is always right because we want cars to still be fucking looking and not being like, just because you're not on a crosswalk doesn't mean you can't hit somebody and kill them.
I was in Hawaii a couple years ago with some friends of mine, and we were at a crosswalk very early in the morning, like downtown Oahu or whatever. And there's this like long, street. It's like sunrise. There's not really anybody out except for people who are out walking. There's like 6 of us at a crosswalk. The hand is up. There's nobody coming for miles. So I start to cross the street, and I get halfway across, and I notice I'm alone. And I'm like, they're all standing there looking at me. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, the light. And I'm like, there's nobody around. Like, who cares?
God is watching.
Yeah, I know. And that's the whole thing. It's like, well, like, to a certain extent, like, people are, like, afraid of, like, the state, like, in that sense. Or of cops when it's, like, it's a very arbitrary, circumstantial thing. And I think, like, we talk about, like, all this shit through what sounds like, if you're a listener, probably a libertarian sort of point of view.
Leaning that way.
Yeah, sure.
Jericho's more anarchist.
Yeah,
anarchist and socialist somehow.
And nobody, but nobody. Well, we're all dumb. Nobody should listen to any of our opinions about it because we're all clowns.
Well, listen, just don't legislate based on it.
Right? Yeah, like I sound smart, but I was working on my second GED at or not. All right. Boris is still mad because I called him out.
Your wife and I have been talking about this.
We're gonna have intervention. Hey, Jess, you want to come in?
Bring her in. I'll litigate her in front of everybody.
Can I just?
Here's my thing. Though, real quick. No, I just want to say because like, libertarianism is stupid. It's stupid. It's as dumb as communism. And like, there's a whole undercurrent of like loser comics who always advocate communism because they'd rather put the responsibility of their failures on the nation than on themselves. And so, and they always mock libertarianism because like, they're like, it's a dumb idea. And it's like, well, so is communism. But when you look at things through the prism of communism or through the philosophy of libertarianism, it just goes to show like, if I'm going to lean a certain way, it's so that the state has less ability to infringe upon my day-to-day life because they don't know what happens in it.
Right. Neither extreme works because they're utopias.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I think it's good for like how we have, this is what's like great about America. Like I like guns, like I like them to shoot, but like I also like the idea of being able to defend yourself. But I live in a city where handguns are illegal, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because like that's an agreed upon thing that we as the citizens of the city have come to as to determine this is what's going to make it the most safe for everybody and how to work within this framework that we have. And I'm fine. But like somebody in South Carolina, they can fire off all the guns they want. And nobody from New York should be able to tell them whether or not they can.
Right. Let's leave gun ownership as a good petty crime one. We should definitely do that.
Well, there's no crime if you do it
right.
legally. Yeah.
Well, in the okay. Anyway,
then
but back to
felony.
but back to jaywalking. I'm still like conflicted over the idea that I hate the fact that it's like, I guess I didn't lock it. I thought I did. I hate the fact that it's something that can escalate to actually being any more than just, hey, don't do that. And if you do, here's a $40 ticket or whatever. That to me is appropriate. That to me is like, there needs to be something as an incentive, but it just sucks because if somebody says, hey, fuck you, I don't have a license, and like, go fuck yourself, cop, like, what do you even do?
Well, that cop's going to grab them, punch their face into the ground
which
until
isn't
they
good,
bleed,
right?
And then take them in. They'll probably either, if they don't have some sort of prior, they're going to make something up. They're going to say resisting arrest or whatever.
I mean, all that sucks too, but let's say it's not a cop and let's say it's a social worker, and the social worker is like, we got a call, somebody's mentally ill, they're walking across the street back and forth.
Screaming.
And
They're saying they're Jesus Christ in the middle of the crosswalk.
And someone else has their children and is like, that guy's giving a bad example for my children. I don't want them crossing the street, and I don't want them thinking that he is Jesus Christ incarnate or whatever.
They start speaking in tongues.
Right. The children. Won't someone think of the children? But then when the social worker shows up and this guy is like, fuck you, I am, speaking in tongues. I love how my impression of someone speaking in tongues is, I am speaking in tongues. But what do you do? How do you manage that? And obviously we're not going to figure this out because for all the reasons Derek just said, that we're fucking dumb and no legislature should be listening to us. But like, where do you land?
Really, our goal in life is to make a living talking to strangers about our dicks. In theory, but not in the middle of the street, which is fine.
Well, I never knew this was going to become such a hot button issue.
I know our most heated and debated issue is jaywalking.
I mean, like, that's why I guess like I've just been sitting over here patiently waiting me to make a quiet salient point. You guys are screaming at each other about yeah, no, it's fine, it's on me, I apologize, but I guess my whole point of it is that I agree with you. Like it's one of these things where there are a lot of crimes that are on the books. It feels like as an excuse to ensnare somebody in what is a much larger, like I've gotten, like I had a bench warrant, so I had to go to jail or whatever for a night. Or like if somebody has, like I specifically was pulled over in East New York, which for those of you not from New York is like, it's actually in Brooklyn. It's one of the more, high crime rate areas.
When you see people posting about like sarcastic stuff about crime going up in New York and being like, oh my God, it's so scary as they walk through nice restaurants in Chelsea, East New York is the place they are not thinking about where the crime actually is happening.
Right. And so it's, and so the cop told me when they pulled me over, and they're like, yeah, your light was out, but we just use that because more often than not, that's how we can get somebody with drugs in their car.
You look like you don't belong here.
Well, no, they couldn't see inside my car.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They literally, that's another thing too, is I was pulled over by a black cop who admitted like, yeah, we can't see inside your car most of the time. We're pulling you over for like, which also goes to dispel some level of notion, like not everybody who gets pulled over, if they're a certain, race or ethnicity, is getting pulled over because of that. It just is commensurate with the amount of like infractions that a cop can hold you on depending on what area you're in.
Right.
Like, so, and also too, which isn't fair, which I'm going to say. And like, I think the solution to this though is like, we don't have what seems like it's like it's not that jaywalking as a crime or whatever it might be is like bad or anything like that. It just seems like the end result of a broken system. And as much as we don't want to make everything sound like this is a systemic issue or something like that, like some things are clearly moral things, but this sounds like it seems to me that if you have a group of citizens who are invested within the community, they feel like they have equity in it, and a stake within its future, they're going to be more inclined to follow community considerate laws.
Right. And if you're like, fuck this place.
Yeah, but if you're like, yeah, fuck this place, I don't give a fuck, nothing's ever given back to me for as much as I put in, you're not going to feel that way. And you're going to start pissing on buildings and jaywalking and smacking undercover cop cars even though you were in the wrong.
It is totally one of those things where like you hear people who do seem to care about disproportionate treatment of certain people by cops at the same time will advocate for like they should make it illegal to do this on the train. Manspreading. We need cops enforcing manspreading.
And Showtime.
Yeah, and it's like who's gonna end up suffering because of this. Like to me, I do agree that like when something's more of a nuisance than like a crime being committed against you,
right?
Like either learn to deal or learn to speak up for yourself, or like I know not everybody. I'm a fucking tiny man. I'm not always wanting to like stand up for myself if somebody's like way bigger, fucking like lighting up a cigarette on the fucking L train or something. You know what I mean? But like. At a certain point, that one's probably bad enough where maybe somebody should call the cops.
Yeah,
but like,
but Showtime is can be annoying.
I love it sometimes.
It's exactly, and it's often less annoying than most open mic comedy.
Right.
For one, and for two, it's also usually it's not done by kids from NYU.
No,
it's done by kids from East New York, and I see a lot of white people from Amherst who moved to the city complaining about
Horrified.
Showtime. Yeah, oh my God, they're Showtime, or they're trying to sell me Welch's. It's like, yeah, because you live in a $4,000 a month dorm room.
They almost kicked me. Yeah, well, you almost got into Columbia, but you didn't.
Right. Yeah.
You're at NYU, and they're performing on the train.
I had there was a woman, and we're not supposed to say gypsy anymore, but she was like a gypsy woman, Eastern European. You know?
I'll allow it.
I don't interpret gypsy literally so much like that anymore. Like, because I guess it's because I'm like, it's just been used in such weird vernacular. I never think like, whoa,
right?
Or big hoop earrings. Right? I just think it's somebody who's flighty.
There have been movements to like make using the term gypsy, or like he gypped me out of this. There have been movements to make that offensive, but I think it's such a small community and one that doesn't really exist as like any political force in America that it just hasn't really taken hold.
She sang a song and she had like a baby strapped to her.
Oh yeah, they all do.
Guitar. No, but she sang a song in some Slavic language that was so beautiful. I started crying.
Wow.
And I had no clue what she's saying, but I looked around on the train and other people started taking their headphones off. And like I saw a woman across the way start to tear up, and I'm like, literally, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. That was worth every Showtime kid I've ever seen in my life.
And before you knew it, all your wallets were missing.
My wallet was gone. My phone was gone.
Yeah, I mean, there's
my kidney was gone. I was in a bucket of ice.
There are some buskers in the city who are like super talented and whatnot, and like it's far more like it's better than some of our peers. And I shouldn't say that. Not our peers, but like underlings.
Names. I want names.
No, I don't know them.
Back to jaywalking.
I don't know them. Yeah, no. I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
Well, I just don't. It's a weird thing that the human psychology of it is like, okay, how do we make people abide by what should just be a common courtesy?
Right.
And how do we make people act that way in a society? It's almost like what you were saying about the worldview, the German thing.
Without the threat of violence.
Yeah, but without the threat of violence. So what would the threat of monetary,
which is ultimately the threat of violence, right? If you're punishing people with money, eventually you're threatened to put them in a cage.
Look at how many people are impoverished for generations now because of losing their job due to COVID or something like that, which was unavoidable. But think about if you get stigmatized to some level because you got, like, say you were jaywalking and then it escalated into something much worse because of misunderstanding, and you're already might be a disenfranchised person. Now you have like a rap on you,
a felony or something,
right? Yeah. And so, or just like you had to go to fucking juvie or whatever for a while, and that just changes your trajectory in life.
Absolutely,
right? And so if we're talking like theoretically or whatever, the only idea that I've seen that's come along in a long time that makes it seem like it would be a corrective arm to some level of the problems that we're having is the UBI concept, right? Because a lot of people want communism because they want to give the money to the government first, which always works out great. They'll never and they want to trust a bureaucratic thing to distribute that, whereas and a lot of Democrats support that sort of crap too, because then they can't use identity politics to fucking hold things over on you. If you directly fund people and give people the opportunity to establish their own capital within America and to create some level of wealth or capital for themselves or innovation, then they're going to have more of an investment within society and be able to have their own freedom of movement without having to have it under the guise of some corrective policy that you have to qualify for.
Yang gang.
No, I'm sorry.
Gang.
I think about this a lot, but it's it really just kind of comes back to we always right now Biden is sitting there saying we need equity for the different people and whatnot, but what's it going to be through? He's not going to pass $15 an hour for minimum wage, which I don't agree with anyways, but he's not going to really do anything for it. It's just a bunch of programs to sound good, and then all the money from the programs gets wasted in some capacity.
I will say, and I'm not usually one to jump on it, but I do recently they started being a little more transparent with what they're doing for the SBA loans, and it's just loans focusing on small business, which generally I know that we're getting far from jaywalking now, but I do agree this is all connected, and that things like this, respecting your community and feeling like you have a stake in your community, is probably the actual holistic approach, the way that you guys have both just been saying, to get people to respect the law without the threat of violence. I'm not totally sold on UBI, though I do think there are good arguments for it, and I do think that, not having the kind of means testing you have with other programs makes it easier to just channel the money to the people as opposed to having it go through all these bureaucratic hands.
Or the qualifications. Like, look at AOC's thing with, she's like, oh, we're going to give $7,000 if you lost like an elderly person to COVID.
Yeah, now like I'm sorry my grandma's not tragic. My grandma's death isn't tragic enough for you because
right,
it was.
If you lose somebody who's not that age, but they were like the breadwinner for it. And I understand. It's nice of her, and like I understand like the that aspect of it, but it's like
the heart is in the right place, but so is Trotsky's.
Well, okay, that's a good place to ask you. I want to know. So, what do you rate jaywalking as a crime?
A 0 out of 5 bears. Like, that's right, raising the bar. 0 out of 5 bears because as in like a prosecutable crime. I think it's up to you. Be an adult. That's the society we chose to live in. I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5 bears because while I agree with almost everything you're saying, I just think there has to be something. And while it sounds ideal to create a society where everyone has a stake, blah 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 blah. I know people enough that I know some people are just going to be fucking assholes, and we have to draw a line somewhere. And at a certain point, it's stop fucking walking all over the roads, moron.
I give it a 0 as well. I think it's total bullshit, and fuck that cop for almost running me over.
It's systemic. We've solved it all on this podcast,
and we will continue.
Smart's going to listen to this and be like, 1, this guy is not easy to get along with, and 2, he's way wrong.
Well, I think you're easy to get along with.
Thank you.
And I appreciate both of you very much. I'm Jericho Davidson.
I'm Boris Hyken, and also to be compared with Derek's wife.
And I'm Kevin Hart. Thanks so much for... No, I'm just kidding. I'm Derek Humphrey. All right.
Yeah, booyah.